Before today's video starts, because so many of you guys have asked, yes, the This Esme Yearbook 2022 is now available to pre-order. I'm going to be signing the first 3,000 pre-orders, so yes, my arm might be aching a little bit after that. So limited copies of these signed versions are available, so if you'd like to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you so much and enjoy today's video. Hello everybody, this is Esme and today's video is going to be my summer morning routine 2021. Now I haven't done a summer morning routine since I've had Joey, so I feel like this video was really overdue. The first thing I do in the morning after getting out of my pyjamas into some riding clothes is head straight to the stables, and that's because the horses are usually pretty hungry. So after saying hello, hi boys, I always also like to go over to each horse in each stable and say good morning to them directly, give them a bit of a pat and a cuddle, because who doesn't want a horse cuddle in the morning? So the first horse I go to is Casper, who definitely had a bit of a bedhead this morning. I don't know what he was lying in, but he was looking a little bit stinky. Then it was time to come over to Mickey, who absolutely loves a little tickle behind his ear and a bit of a head scratch in the morning. And then lastly, it's time to go over to Joey, who takes a little while in the morning sometimes to wake up. He always takes a while to walk over. As you can see, he is probably still a little bit half asleep. We have a bit of a cuddle, a bit of a hello, he gives me a little nudge, and then after a few little scratches, it's time to head over into the feed room, which will soon be the new tack room if you guys have been watching the stable renovation series, which is very exciting. But I go in there to make all of the horses their breakfasts, and as you can see, yep, Joey does take quite a while to wake up in the morning. There's often lots of yawns from all the horses. Casper's always highly alert, looking and waiting for me to come back through those doors with all of their buckets of Bailey's horse feed. So Joey is actually always the first horse to be fed in the morning. That's because horses love routine, so I always do the same thing in the same order. Joey is also the biggest horse, so he's at the top of the pecking order, so it just makes sense in the horsey hierarchy. After that, it's then time to feed Casper, and something I like to do with all of my horses when I give them their breakfast is just do a bit of ground manners. So when I open up their stable door, I always ask them to go back, and that's just because some horses can get very excited. And I'm definitely not talking about a blue-eyed Cremello pony who loves food more than anything else in this world. But no, Mickey does get quite excited with his breakfast. I tried to do some ground manners with him. He used to want to push past the stable door when you open it to get to your food, but he is so much better now when we first got him. Around 11 years ago now, which blows my mind that I've had Mickey for that long. But as you can see, he's not quite as polite as the other horses, but he's still a really good boy. So once I've opened up all of their stable doors and they're all having their breakfast, Joey likes to kick his bucket around. I don't know why he does that. Mickey sometimes likes to shake when he has his breakfast, and Casper just eats it as fast as he possibly can. So once the horses have had their breakfast, it's then time to put their fly gear on. So this is a fly mask. I always think of it a bit like horsey sunglasses, but it also stops the flies going on their face and annoying them. I might actually have to get Joey a bigger one, because this is size cob and I think he needs size full, because I don't know what it is, but Joey has really long ears and his ears just about fit in it. Joey also likes to throw a little bit of a tantrum every morning and let me know that he wants more food. He likes to do this by shaking his bucket up and down against the wall, throwing it about, using his mouth. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually quite clever and quite impressive. Joey definitely has a big personality and likes to let everybody know about it, but he was very good and did stand still for having his fly gear on. Also with the horses, I put fly rugs on, so here you can see Casper wearing his beautiful high equestrian zebra one. Apart from the horses looking super cool in their matchy zebra print, it's actually been scientifically proven that flies find it more difficult to land on your horse with the stripes. And this is great because over here in the UK we have a lot of horse flies, and if you've ever been bitten by one, it's not very pleasant. So that's why all three of my horses go outside in their fly gear. So here I am with Mickey, who likes to give me a few kisses and cuddles while I'm putting his fly rug on. Now Mickey absolutely hates having anything on his nose, so here he is telling me to roll up his fly mask because I don't know what it is, but it's just not his favourite thing. After that, Mickey knows what's coming next. He walks away because it's time to put on his sun cream. I feel so bad doing this every single morning because Mickey really does not like it, but it has to be done. I'd rather him have a few seconds of being a little bit annoyed that I have to put cream on his face than him getting a poorly burnt nose, which wouldn't be very great, especially with his very sensitive pink skin. Gotta protect you, Mickey. I'm sorry for being such a mum, but I don't want you to get burnt on your little snoot. However, he does always get a treat afterwards for being such a good boy. Once all the horses have their fly rugs on and have had their breakfast, it's then time to grab their wash buckets and give them a good wash out, because it can be really gross having your horses like leftover breakfast and saliva left in their buckets, especially if you give them dinner in the evenings and you haven't washed the bucket out. It can actually put your horses off their food because it can taste a bit sour if it's still got the leftover dirty food in there. So I like to give them a quick scrub as well. I always do a competition who has the dirtiest bucket, and normally it is Joey because he's probably kicked it all about his stable, banged it against all the walls, and just absolutely destroys it really. Then once that's all done, it's time to get each horse and put them out in the field. So the first horse to go out is Joey. Again, I like to do it in the same order as I feed them and in the same order each morning, just to make things run a little bit smoother. And again, horses absolutely love routines. Next, it's time to slip off Joey's head collar and let him out into the field. The second horse I lead out into the field is Casper, and if you haven't picked up on this already, all of my horses' things are in different colours, so they're all colour coded. So Casper's is purple, Joey's is green, and Mickey's is blue. And this is really useful in the mornings because the last thing you want to do is be rummaging around trying to tell whose head collar is whose. And yes, over here in the UK we call it a head collar. I know in lots of different countries people call it a halter, but here I'm putting Mickey's on, and again you can see he's not the biggest fan of having things on his nose. He likes to sneeze and move his head around, but it's actually quite funny because by the time I've led him down out into the field, he stops sneezing and stops making such a big fuss about it and is more interested about going out into the field with the other two. Once the horses are done, it's then time to move on to the donkeys. So here I have all three of their buckets with their feed in. Willow's food has her medication in. She has equipalazone because she was born with arthritis in both her back legs. So her whole life she's been lame and she's been on the medication, so she hasn't actually known any different. And right now during the summer she's actually doing really well. I know you guys always like to ask how Willow's doing. So here's Bruno and Toby very patiently waiting for their breakfast. Usually the donkeys are pretty noisy when it comes to breakfast time, but today they were actually quite quiet, which was strange. So I give Bruno and Toby their buckets of feed, and then it's time to walk up to the top to give Willow hers. And this is because Willow's food has her medicine in and it would be really bad for Bruno or Toby to eat it. So by putting her in the stable, and this is really the only time the donkeys are ever shut in their stable is breakfast time, it means that I can see and make sure that Willow's eaten all of her medicine and all of her breakfast as well, because sometimes Willow can be a little bit of a picky eater, but recently she's been really good, has had a really good appetite on her and has been eating all of her food. Meanwhile, the donkeys are having their breakfast. I always like to get them ready for the day at this time because usually when they're grazing, they like to walk when they graze, so they're always kind of moving around. But when they're having their bucket dinner or bucket breakfast, that I like to call it, they're usually stationary because they're too preoccupied and focused on that. So while they're eating, I very gently put on their fly masks and try not to disturb them too much while they're having their breakfast. Here's Bruno tucking into his. He loves a little scratch as well. And I just do the Velcro up. So the donkey's fly masks are actually a little bit different to the horse's ones. And that's because these ones don't have any ear attachments on, because the donkeys have such long ears compared to the horses. I really struggle to fit them in pony-sized ones that fit their head, but the ears on them are really tiny. So yep, the donkey's ones don't have any ears, they don't have nose nets either, but I find that these work really well for them, especially in the summer to stop the flies going on their eyes. I also like to put a bit of fly spray on the donkey's legs as well. I don't know what it is about the donkey's legs, but the flies just absolutely love going on them. So I give them a little bit of a spray with that. But no, we're not finished yet. The donkeys also have some absolutely adorable rugs from Equestrian again. So these ones don't have zebra stripes, they have little bumblebees on, which are just so cute. Again, the bumblebees have stripes on, so that helps as well with preventing the flies from landing on them. But oh my goodness, I just can't deal with how cute the donkeys are in their little matching rugs too. They just look so cute. Because the boy donkeys are also slightly darker, the light colour of the fly rug also really helps in the summer as well. So here's Toby having his daily ear scratches. I don't know what it is about the donkeys, but they absolutely love ear scratches. It's their favourite place to have scratched. I don't know what it is, but they do really, really love it. So lastly, it's time to put Willow's fly rug on her. She's a little bit of a slow eater, so I quite like to do her last, and then I'll just wait in her stable for a little bit afterwards to make sure that she's eaten all of her breakfast and all of her medicine as well. And yes, because Willow has a pink nose too, she also has to endure the dreaded sun cream. However, compared to Mickey, Willow is much less of a drama queen. She is so much better. She just stands still, takes it like a champ every single morning, and is just such a good girl. When Willow is all done, it's then time to grab her bucket so Bruno and Toby can't get into there, just in case there's any little bits of medicine left in the bottom. Then it's time to open up the stable door and let Toby in and let Willow out. I don't know why, but Bruno and Toby love to go into the stable right after Willow's been in there. I think they try and look for any scraps she's left, but she never leaves any. I think they just want to make sure that they're not missing out on anything. After that, it's time to collect up all of the buckets, and on this particular day it was the donkey trough cleaning out day. Now in the summer this pretty much feels like every other day or almost every single day, and this is because due to the sun and the heat, I always find the algae in the water trough likes to grow so much more than it does in the winter. So you've got to make sure you clean out your horse's water troughs, guys, because if not it can get pretty nasty pretty quickly. So lastly, it's time to walk back with all of the buckets back to the stables and give them a good scrub. This is especially important for Willow's bucket that I always like to water last, again because of her medicine and we don't want any cross-contamination, but also because Willow again is a little bit of a picky eater sometimes, and I really don't want her to be put off her food by having any old nasty food left in the bottom of her bucket. Once all the buckets have been washed and rinsed out, it's then time to collect them all up and take them back into the feed room. So that is my morning routine with the donkeys finished, but no, I'm not finished yet with the horses, guys. It's time to collect my mucking out tools and get mucking out. Mucking out, my morning routine can actually be done there. However, on this particular day I decided to take Casper for a ride first thing in the morning before it started getting too hot, because over here in the UK we have had a little bit of a heat wave. We've had a lot of sun and we're not quite used to it over here in England, so I thought I'd ride Casper early because I didn't particularly want to be riding Casper in the midday heat. I don't know why, but every time I get Casper ready in the wash bay, Joey always likes to stand outside the gate and watch. Maybe he's a little bit jealous, or maybe he just finds it interesting to observe, but either way I find it super adorable. Casper also has one of the thickest, curliest manes I've ever seen a horse have. I don't know if it's a Casper thing or if it's a Connemara thing, but I do have to brush it out every day because it always gets knotty or shavings in it. Casper also has one of the thickest tails I've ever seen a horse ever have as well. It takes me so long to brush it through. I usually use mane and tail detangler as well, just so I can actually get a comb through it. Then it's time to give him a good brush down, and he wasn't actually too dirty today. The only place he was dirty was actually on his face. So luckily that didn't take too long to clean because, sorry Cas, but I want to embarrass you by showing everybody how dirty he was. And again, Joey is still waiting and watching. Then once Casper is clean, it's finally time to get him tacked up, so I put on his saddle. I also have a matchy saddle pad as well because you guys know me. I don't know if anybody else does this, but when I do up my girth, sometimes I like to use my head to prop open the saddle flap. I just find it easier when I'm doing up the buckles. And then lastly, it's time to get me ready, so I'll put on my riding boots. I'll also put on my helmet, and lastly on this particular day I put on my high vis as well, which looks like it perfectly fits me, but believe it or not, I've had this high vis since I was 8, so it does look like it's fashionably cropped, but no, it's just a child's one that I've had for a really long time. So here I'm just putting on Casper's bridle, so then we're all ready to go on our hack. So on this particular day I thought I'd go across the Bridal Path, and we had lots of fun.
Rainy days don't seem so wet, stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Talk for hours, I never slept. Two silhouettes on the concrete steps. We watched the sun as it slowly crept from the horizon to the place we met. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Best thing that I'll ever know.
All the other things can wait. All the other things can wait.
Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed seeing my summer morning routine 2021. I'd just like to say a huge thank you for watching today's video. If you're new or have not done so already, please like and subscribe as it really does help me out and I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye!